are the New York Knicks. I'm back. Back in New York. Well, it's the Knicks. New York. We are the New York Knicks. New York. For this new season we're about to enter, the Knicks is taking no shorts just like winter. New York, New York.
New York be about the Knicks, huh?
But the best thing about New York City is
K-N-I-C-K-S.
Everybody say go New York, go New York, go!
Go New York, go New York, go!
Everybody, it is the New York Knicks. What?
God damn it, Jay. We've been such a professional show for these last whatever number of episodes. Now you've ruined all our professionalism.
I apologize for this complete unprofessionalism here. This is episode 550, part of Dash Radio. Also, you can go to the New York Knicks podcast.com/ticket club. Use code NYKP for 20% off an annual membership. How are you doing, Mark?
Good. I have a question for you. This is episode 550, you said?
Yeah, 550.
Will the Knicks winning percentage at the end of the year equal this number of episodes?
I really hope it's higher than that, but I'm starting to wonder.
I think 55%, 55-50 would put you around 45, 46 wins. Is that? No, it's actually like 48 wins, I think. That'd be pretty solid.
Oh, really? It's that okay. Yeah.
Let's do the I was gonna say 49 is my back of the math. Let's just do the math right here. Everyone loves math on shows. It is 45 wins because I'm a moron. Is that right? 45 wins?
Yeah, because 41 would be 50.
Yes. Whatever, Mr. I have a great CPA stuff. How are you doing, Jay?
I am doing all right. I am a lot happier than I would have been if the Knicks lost to the Pacers.
Can I tell you? So I want to tell you something. So Friday night, who did the Knicks play on Friday night? They played the was that the Hornets game, right?
Yeah.
So by the way, it was not the best week for the Knicks, but they salvaged it last night. But anyway, we went out to dinner with some friends, left the kids at home, had a nice dinner, had a babysitter, got home around 11 o'clock. But I was like, I always in my mind, I'm like, I'm not going to find out the Knicks score because maybe I'll watch the Knicks game when I get home, even though it's late. I got home, I saw a text from a friend who's a Knicks fan, and the text just said, I had a couple of texts, but one, and I try not to look at my text very closely when the Knicks are playing if I'm not watching the game, because again, I want to see the game. Yeah. The text just said, "What a game." I didn't read the rest of my text, just so that said, "What a game." And I was like, I don't care. It's 11 o'clock. The Knicks had an awesome game tonight. I'm down to watch this. And so I turned the game on. I'm like, this is awesome. I don't care if I'm going to wake up late. I'm going to go to sleep late. I'm going to see the Knicks beat the Hornets. It's going to be a fun game. Knicks are up in the first half. I'm like, la-di-da-di, Knicks going to win it. La-di-da-di, Knicks going to win it. Third quarter, I'm like, wow. Knicks, I'm like just passing out as I'm watching. I'm like, this is not looking great, but well, I guess must have a crazy ending or something like this, but like whatever. A win is a win. Knicks will get the win. Whatever. Fourth quarter, I'm like, man, it's gonna be a crazy comeback. I mean, Knicks are they took the lead. Oh, we're good. And like at a minute and a half to go, I'm like, wow, this is gonna be quite a miracle comeback. Wow. 30 seconds to go, I'm like, how did the Knicks pull this off? I mean, they're down by like 8 points with 30 seconds to go. Anyway, my friend was just commenting on. He just thought it was
a sarcastic "what a game."
Yeah,
it didn't come through in text.
Then the text above it was from someone else who was saying "damn it," which in relation to if I had seen that text, I wouldn't have watched the game. Right. The text I saw said "what a game," and I'm like, yes, the Knicks are gonna pull this amazing. So the Knicks kind of. What do you think of this week? We had two very disappointing games. Not that we had to beat the Bucks, not that we had to beat the Hornets, but the Knicks kind of looked like shit in both games. They did come back and have a nice win last night about the Pacers. How are you feeling about the team right now?
It's a week that makes you question things. And it was a week where I questioned a lot of like, we're doing 5 questions to each other. So like a lot of them are going to come up during that. But it was. I have a lot less confidence than I did a week ago, even though a week ago wasn't a great week either. But I thought it was like a blip, and now I feel like maybe it's something a little more fundamentally wrong.
Yeah. And we'll cover more of this later. But just to point out, I think a lot of Knicks fans became very aware this week that their starting lineup has not been good, and the bench has been goddamn awesome.
So
it's
if you go
weird
by
dynamic.
If you go by plus minus, the Knicks bench has, I think, the best in the league, and out of any bench, and the Knicks starters are the worst plus minus out of any starters in the league. So that's a problem.
It's not really good.
I mean, it's good for the bench.
Knicks, yeah. So currently, the Knicks 5-man lineup, their starting lineup has played the most minutes of any lineup in the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
And currently, they are at a 103.7 offensive rating, which isn't very good. They're at a defensive rating about a 119.9, which apparently would be the worst defensive rating ever by a 5-man lineup in the history of the NBA.
For context, you don't have league average for those numbers, do you?
The league average? No. Well, I can see. So I can see on this right here that I can go past. I have the top 25 here of 5-man lineups through the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
Like the number 1 played lineup is the Kemba, Fournier, Randall. The number 2 lineup is actually the Hawks with Capella, Bogdanovich, Collins, Young, Herter. Slightly less minutes. Number 3 is Portland's lineup. Brooklyn's lineup is number 4.
Oh, no. I meant average for offensive rating, defensive rating.
I don't have the average, but I can see here, like the next 4, I mentioned Atlanta, Portland, Brooklyn. The offensive ratings are 117, 109. Actually, the Brooklyn rating is 103. So the Brooklyn rating with this amazing offense is the same offensive rating the Knicks have, but their defensive rating is a 97, whereas the Knicks defensive rating is 119.
Lower is better for defensive rating.
Yeah, and so if you're getting 119 points defensive rating, that's fine if you're scoring 130.
Mm-hmm.
The net is the most important part. So the Knicks, like the Brooklyn, their net's only 5 points, which isn't great. But you have other teams like you have Golden State's, their net is plus 11. Mm-hmm. The Knicks net is negative 16 for that starting unit. It's just not good. You know what? The only one I can find worse of the top 25. Actually, there are 2 there worse than the top 25. One is OKC's starting lineup, and the only other one that's worse is...
It's got to be Houston.
Yeah, Houston's is a negative 26, so I don't know what the hell they're doing. The Knicks' second unit, they're in the top... They're not the top 25, but the top 50 as far as just minutes played.
Mm-hmm.
But their unit they're like number 28 minutes played, and that unit is 110 offensive rating and 85 defensive rating.
Holy crap.
So a plus 25.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
It's really, really crazy. So I also thought it was just interesting. I looked through and we can talk more about this in a moment, but I looked through the 5-man lineups, 4-man lineup. So first of all, the 5-man lineups, comparing the starters and the bench, a lot of things aren't that different. Like effective field goal percentage is about the same. The true shooting percentage is about the same.
Mm-hmm. The
pace is about the same. It's just one unit is not really playing any defense, I guess, and one's playing a lot of defense. So it's 110 for the offensive rating for the bench, 103 for the starters. All the numbers are kind of, but if you look at the like assist percentage, rebound percent, the one other thing that the bench seems to do better is their offensive rebounding is better.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, I guess they're just playing better defense. That's what it just comes down to. Though their offense seems to be better also. I don't fundamentally understand. The other thing I noticed when you look at 4-man lineups, 3-man lineups, 2-man lineups on the Knicks, there's a common theme, which we'll get to, that if you're paired with a certain player, your numbers go down greatly. Do you want to guess who that player is?
Kemba Walker.
yes, Kemba has been the problem, I guess. I don't know. Before we get into our questions and everything else, I want to just go over it with you. I thought was just something else that I thought was interesting.
Okay.
So first, do you like how fouls are being called this year?
Yes.
Okay. Why?
Nobody likes watching free throws. There's a lot less free throws. They're not calling touch fouls nearly as much. They're not calling what was offensive fouls that they were calling on the defense. I think it is throwing a lot of teams off, but it's kind of flipping the script on a lot of teams in the NBA, because defensive-minded teams are all of a sudden going up in the standings, and like the Wizards.
Are you saying this was not the year for the Knicks to stop playing defense?
Yeah, I mean, if the Knicks were playing defense like they did last season, they would probably be much better. But I find it more enjoyable. I don't care if the games are lower scoring. I find it more interesting.
Okay, so would you say the last couple of years the fouling has been out of control?
Absolutely out of control. Like the touch fouls, the players literally not even trying to score. They're just trying to draw fouls, and it's like that's their entire plan. That's not even basketball. It's embarrassing. I would be embarrassed to do what some of these players do.
Okay. And do you think in the past, like when was it? So it used to be it was out of control in the last couple of years. When we were growing up, was it good?
I think most people our age would say it is really good.
So if you do foul, I don't have the number of fouls per game. I have free throw attempts, which I think is a good gauge for number of fouls, right? I'm just looking at so currently right now, teams are averaging 19.7 free throws attempts a game. That is the lowest percentage, the lowest number per game since they started keeping this stat.
The lowest number of free throw attempts?
Yeah. Currently, the teams are averaging 19.7 free throws attempts per game. It's the lowest number the stat has been since they started keeping that stat.
I think that's beautiful. Is there anybody who is not liking this? Is there anybody who misses watching Harden take an additional 10 free throws a game?
So I looked at just to make a point here. So last year was 21, the year before was 23. But you know what? Like if you go back, there were some years that it's crazy. Like where is this? Like there were some years, like in 85, 86, there were 30 free throws per game per team.
Damn.
In the 80s, the numbers actually were all like high 20s, like low 30s every year.
Wow.
Yeah, there were just crazy amount of free throws being taken, which is kind of brutal to watch.
Yeah, absolutely.
Actually, the NBA has done a pretty good job of cracking down because the numbers have been trending down for the last couple of years. Last year actually wasn't that bad.
But it's the types of fouls they were calling.
I totally agree.
I mean, if they weren't calling those fouls, what would it have been? Like 15 a game?
Yeah, I don't know. Also this year, just a couple of things I want to point out. Also, the you know what's down in the NBA? 3-point percentage. You pointed out last show that the change in ball.
Yeah.
Do you think that's made a big difference?
It could be the change in ball. It could also be the foul calls, because if you miss a shot but you get fouled on it, it doesn't count as an attempt. So it artificially inflates your percentage as well.
Okay, that's a fair point. So currently, the NBA, the average 3-point shooting percentage per team is .345, 34.5%, right?
Yeah.
Do you know the last time it was below that number?
Was that when they brought the line in and for some reason everybody shot worse?
98-99. That was the last time it was below that number.
The lockout season, huh?
Isn't that crazy? Yeah, like I before that, like there were a lot of years below, but since then the number's been higher than that every season.
Right.
Last year it was 36%. This year is 34%. Overall shooting percentage in the NBA is 45%. You know, that actually is not that, like that's actually within pretty average historically in the last 20 years. But and the only other thing I guess is the points per game aren't even down that much. They're down for the last couple of years, but like generally in the last 20 years, they're like, it's not a crazy number at all.
Mm-hmm.
They're at 107 points per game, which is like, even though the shooting percentage is down, like teams are still scoring. I thought that overall was interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know if you thought that. Okay. You want to talk Knicks?
Yeah, let's talk some Knicks.
So we made some questions for each other. We have a lot to talk about. Jay, you want to go first?
Sure. All right. So RJ Barrett looked not great the first 4 games, looked awesome the next 5, and then he's looked bad again the last 5. So what do you think? What is the real Barrett? Is he going to be the middle 5 games? Is he going to be up and down all season? Did he regress? Did he take a leap? What's going on with this guy?
Yeah, it's really hard to say because he looked great a little bit this year. And obviously the easiest thing to say is that he's going to be somewhere in between, which is probably somewhat the answer. I don't understand. I don't know. Why do you think he's lost at there at times?
It's really hard to. I mean, I know they have more options, but shouldn't that make it easier for everybody?
Yeah, I mean the ball movement isn't amazing in the first unit, and maybe he feels like, I mean, the lack of I guess the fact that the players aren't gelling that well so far makes it a little harder for him.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. Like what is his game? His game basically to me seems like getting to the basket and shooting threes are basically the 2 big things that make up his offense, right?
Yeah.
Why? And when he starts missing threes, I guess that throws off his whole game.
And he's been doing a lot of missing lately.
Yeah, I don't.
He's playing a minute and a half
big...
less than last season per game, but he's down a good amount in pretty much every stat.
Right, but he's also coming off a bad, like a couple games ago, he would have said he's up in all stats. He really is super streaky. I mean, would it be fair to say he's 21, far from a finished product, and guys can be streaky at first, and like he'll eventually be not so, like in a couple of years, he'll be good every game. Like we obviously, like an episode or 2 ago, we're like going crazy praising how awesome he is.
Yeah.
I think last episode I was like, I can't believe we're gonna have this guy till he's like 35. Maybe it's just because he's young. I mean, it's hard to adjust to the NBA.
All right, we'll go with that. We'll go with that.
Yeah.
I don't want to start on a downer.
I don't know. Sometimes, do you remember? So Iman Shumpert and RJ, I think is better than Iman Shumpert. I'm preparing. But remember, Shumpert had like a couple. Every once in a while, he'd have a streak. Like he had this 3-game set in Texas. We got San Antonio, Houston, whatever. Like where he just like looked like a monster. We were like, Shumpert's about to break out, and then he just didn't. I think a lot of like decent players have those streaks in them, and the guys who get really good just have more like this. Those would be more good streaks basically until eventually it's just like, I'm trying to make this make sense. At the same time, Randall, our star player, our all-star, is streaky as hell.
Shumpert finally broke out. It was on Dancing with the Stars, but he broke out.
As long as he broke out somewhere. RJ's been frustrating. I assume we'll see some good RJ games very soon. I mean, you can say the same thing about Fournier. Fournier was really good, and now he's like, where's Waldo Fournier?
Yeah, I know. He's on my fantasy team. I'm not happy at all.
At the beginning of the season, Randall would just set him up. Fournier would just nice rainbows right into the basket, no problem. A huge offensive weapon. Now he looks like crap.
He hasn't scored over 10 points in the last 3 games. One game, he had 2 points and no rebounds.
Okay, so here's a question for you. How do you go 8 from 11 from the field and still be a team worst -15?
Defense. If you're getting roasted. I know you're talking about Kemba.
Yeah. Kemba, by the way, last night against the Pacers. You know what? Against the Charlotte, he hit a bunch of shots early and then disappeared. Last time against the Pacers, he kind of carried the Knicks offense in the first quarter. His defense is so goddamn bad. Have you paid a close attention to his defense?
I haven't focused just on him. I'm going to do it next game because there's games where like you said the other day, he was going off. He was hitting every shot, and then at the end of the day, I look at the box score, and he's like minus like the worst on the team, and it doesn't make any sense.
He's like point guard Cantor. Like he's just never in the right position or giving a crap on defense. There were so many. I don't always focus on him, but I'm just getting annoyed at him. And so I basically focus. Anytime there was a guy just left wide open, I would just rewind DVR, see how the guy got open. And so many times you see Kemba not even trying to cover someone. There were a couple guys where they shot threes. And you see, we got to follow. Do we just get a follow just to mess with me?
That was a subscriber, not a follower.
Subscribe. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Subscriptions are free if you have Amazon Prime.
Yeah. There were so many plays where there were at least a few plays where a guy is open. You can see Kemba just kind of like lunge his arm, like just basically wave at the guy, not even make any effort to make even the slightest effort to try to like guard the guy as he's shooting his open three. And he's been in the league this long. He seems like he doesn't know where to be on defense on so many players. Like I thought the issue in my mind, was the issue. I'm like, guys are blowing by him, which they are, but I don't think that's the issue. I think the issue really is him just not even just being in the right place on defense. Like him constantly doing the wrong switch. Anytime they do a pick and roll, he goes where the Knicks player is, not where the other player is.
You know, the Knicks let up 30 wide open 3-pointers. That's the defender was more than 5 feet away. 30 in one game.
Was that the last game or the game before?
I
think
it was the Charlotte game.
It is unbelievable how little they. I think a lot of it is if you have a guy like Kemba not covering his guy, then that kind of breaks down the defense because you have to have his guy's open or else someone else to cover his guy. Someone else is open.
Well, it doesn't help that our centers can't play more than a game in a row without getting injured. So here's my next question. Robinson seems to get injured every game. He's coming back, but he tweaks an ankle. He hurt his hip. Like it's just every game. He's due for a big paycheck after the season. What do you do with that? Do you trade him or do you pay him a lot of money? Do you wait and see?
I guess you wait and see. If the Knicks somehow are falling off a cliff by trade deadline, yeah, you trade him. I think you just wait and see.
Wait till trade deadline or wait till the end of the season? Because if you don't want to pay him at the end of the season, you lose him for nothing.
I know, but it's like if the Knicks are going to be in the playoffs this year, you need him.
Can you depend on him?
No, you can't. You cannot. First of all, Mitch, he put on a bunch of muscle, like 45 pounds of muscle, and everyone's like, that's awesome. And he doesn't seem to foul anymore. Great. He doesn't seem to play, sometimes he's really awesome at defense, and a lot of times he's not. His offensive rebounding skills seems to have disappeared entirely.
Well, he said the other day he gained so much weight now he's slow. And I'm like, well, that's not good.
Not helpful.
No, it's not helpful at all.
No. His defense seems noticeably worse. And his rebounding, at times it's good, but there are a lot. I remember him used to he'd be cleaning the glass on offense. He'd always have the putbacks. Those have kind of disappeared. Once in a while he has them, but a lot of times on offense you just see him getting, despite the 45 pounds of muscle, he's out of position, getting boxed out, or not even trying for the offensive rebound. And the Knicks are getting crushed on the defensive glass, and he doesn't seem to be helping.
You know what I would like to see? One offensive move. It's year 4 for him, like a post move, a jump shot, something other than an alley-oop.
You know what? On the one hand, also, the Knicks need offense. They need weapons. I do think the Knicks should call more plays for him because you can the alley-oop is good to always, you want to have that on in the back of the other team's mind at all times. So they have to worry about him gets other guys open, basically. They have to worry about him.
Yeah, they should at least try and do that within the first couple plays each game just to set the tone. We can do this.
I feel like a common play they start the game with, or a very early play they do, is Barrett to Mitch for a dunk, and then they're like, great, that worked so easy. Let's not try that again.
Yeah, then you don't see it again until the fourth quarter.
Everyone, especially in that starting unit, is concentrating on their own offense. I'm like, Mitch is huge. I know he doesn't have great post moves. Throw it to him anyway. He can just turn around and dunk. Just try something.
Yeah.
I don't know. You really want to make the other team worry about Mitch, which would create get the other guys open. Here's another question for you. Will Obi ever hit a three? Ever? I mean, like until the end of time.
Didn't at the end of last season he go on a streak where it seemed like he was hitting a lot of threes, and we're like, yeah, we want to see him do that more. And now every time this season when he's shooting, I like cringe when he's not driving to the basket.
His shot is so weird, but it would go in sometimes last year. But like his shot, like it seems like he shoots the ball to try to like see if it'll enter outer space before like going into the basket, and his moonshot just seems so far off this year.
So last season,
I don't know why
anyone
would cover him shooting a three. If anything, I'd be like, give him 20 feet, let him just do whatever he wants, shoot from three, go for it, guy.
Do you know what he's shooting this season?
From three, I am going to guess 6%. No, 0%. I'd say he's not hit a three this year.
He has hit a three. He has hit 2 threes.
Oh wow, that's shocking. Actually.
Which skyrocketed his percentage up to 10%.
10%. That's great. So I don't want to give Obi crap because I think Obi's been awesome otherwise. Like his defense looks a lot better. I love him driving to the basket. Have you noticed? And I know we have a lot of positive episodes. I know the Knicks won last night. Not in a positive mood. Sorry. Have you noticed that Obi, like, sometimes he looks awesome, but like last night, he looked so timid out there. He had a couple good plays, but like he gets the ball, he rarely just drives to the basket.
It did seem a little more timid. I mean, he went from like windmill dunking in the game to like kind of just being a little bit more passive.
I mean, first of all, they constantly give him the ball outside the 3-point line, and he's like, I don't want the ball out here. Like, just draw some plays up so he gets the ball closer to the basket. Like, I want him to see if you get him the ball. You know how Carmelo Randall calls for the ball down low?
Yeah. That's
what Obi should be doing to a certain extent, or just driving with the ball. But there's so many plays where they give him the ball above the 3-point line. And the first thing he does is like, here, take it back. Look at the hot potato. Like his whole role is to play hot potato with Kemba Walker or Derrick Rose out there. And they're like, why don't you do something with the ball? He's like, can't do it. Give it back to me. I don't want it again. I don't know if it's just him trying to still fit in, basically. But I don't like non-aggressive. I think when he's non-aggressive, he's hard to play with.
Yeah.
Because I think he's just so great when he's aggressive. But yeah. What's your next question, Jay?
My next question is, do you think, because the bench unit is playing so well, but the starters are playing so bad, do you think they should switch up the starting lineup, or do you want to see that bench unit intact?
I was going to ask you about that also, because it's an obvious question.
Yeah.
Is it crazy? So first of all, do you think Tibbs makes too big of a deal about the starting lineup? In the sense of like, since Tibbs is here, I've noticed the starting lineup has been handed down, carved in stone, handed down from Mount Sinai, and to change it takes an act of God, basically, to change it. Like, he's like, we cannot change the starting line. It's just, unless someone's injured, you cannot just change the starting lineup. Do you think Tibbs is too rigid with the starting lineup?
I don't know about that. I mean, I think on paper, he's starting the 5 best players. It just happens that they're all playing like garbage right now. But I mean, he basically started the 5 that we said.
Right. No one's going to argue that this didn't make sense to start the season. But clearly, while the individuals look like the 5 best guys to start, the sum of the parts is the worst in the team. Is the worst of the team. Like obviously the bench unit is just far outplaying.
So far, but it's risky. Like you demote somebody to the bench, maybe now they're getting upset and.
Well, so they always say like the most important thing is who finishes games and not who starts games. And Tibbs has definitely been experimenting a lot lately with who finishes games, no question. But don't you think like generally the starters play more minutes than the bench? Like as you can see, the Knicks starting unit has played the most minutes of anyone in the NBA.
Yeah.
I guess the point being basically if you don't make the starting lineup so like set in stone, it's easier to play with the starting lineup without guys being offended. Like if you're like the starting lineup is going to be fluid, we'll change it from time to time. It's not set in stone. And then if Rose starts instead of Kemba one night, Kemba doesn't go in the corner and start weeping. But now you're like, Kemba, You've been demoted. It's a huge deal if you're not starting.
I don't know. I would say maybe just change things up quicker. If the Knicks go down by like 6, just be like, that's it. I'm switching it up. And, because sometimes Randall plays the whole first quarter or like, so I feel like substitutions don't come in quick enough. Maybe if you sub guys out quicker, you might stumble into a lineup that works a little better, and then you could be like, look, this lineup kicked ass. We're going to go with this for a bit.
I mean, I would be a fan of not limiting. I still believe in Randall, but like if you get him from 36 minutes to 32 minutes, you might just have better Randall. And with Obi playing better, you could kind of have a fresher Randall in my mind. You can play Obi a little more.
Maybe. I still think Randall's by far the best player on the team. It's just I don't know what's going on.
Do you ever like wonder if like this 32 minutes of Randall is that better than 36 minutes of Randall? Like if he's less gassed, will he just get better performance?
Maybe, but I think it's more the long stretches. Like I said, a lot of times he'll play the whole first quarter. That's going to gas anybody. Like do a normal rotation, 7-8 minutes. Put in Obi in the first quarter. And maybe it'll help Obi too, so he's not sitting for 45 minutes before he gets put into the game.
That is a very fair point. How about this? Can you say, the starters, you've been playing like crap. How about we just switch it entirely? The bench starts until the starters look better. I know that's not good for the locker room, so I know that's not a real idea.
That would either work immediately or he'll lose the entire team. Like, it's very risky.
But here's one. So I don't know if that's not a serious one, even though like what if you switch out and you just say like I'm gonna have Kemba and Fournier play with the bench and Rose and Quickly play with the starters? Is that insane? Is that like I don't know if you really lose the team by doing that?
I don't know. I don't know the locker room dynamics. It's risky, but it might work. I mean, Fournier might like that better just because he's not getting many touches at all with the starting lineup.
Right.
And he's used to having the ball a lot, so he might actually like that. And maybe Kemba won't get roasted against bench players like he's getting roasted against starters.
I think he's going to get roasted against G League players, but my thought there is basically what you're saying is like Randall needs the ball. RJ needs the ball. Maybe Fournier and Kemba look better when they're playing with a lineup where like they can do more. They can dominate the ball a little more.
Right.
Yeah. And the other theory also there is Rose has played with Randall longer, and so he knows better how to play with Randall. It might be an easier dynamic to work out, whereas Kemba's still getting used to playing with Randall.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, in some ways, you make the bench a little worse and the starters a little bit better, but you got to figure out a way to make the starting lineup. Do you have a better idea for making the starting lineup better?
Honestly, though, like Rose is probably better than Kemba at this point. And IQ and Fournier, IQ's playing better right now, but I think it's really close. So are you really making the starting lineup worse? Probably not.
I don't think you're not making the starting lineup worse. You're making the starting lineup better. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, the starting line. So IQ is playing awesome right now. We should also praise IQ. He had a great night last night.
Yeah. We were talking about how we need Burks and IQ to start playing more like they did last season, and the last few games they've both been really good.
Really stepping it up. But IQ basically he would add him and Rose add a lot of energy, and maybe the starting unit needs more energy.
Yeah.
I feel like also you like IQ. I don't. Maybe that dynamic would work better with Randall. I would experiment. I would like to see more experimenting. Here's a question, Jay. Related. Is it an indictment of Leon Rose's two biggest offseason moves that Tibbs has zero interest in playing Kemba and Fournier at the end of games?
I think I don't know about Fournier, but Kemba seems...
He has zero interest in playing Fournier at the end of the game. Fournier has sat in the fourth quarter a number of times this year.
Yeah, it's not even the end of the game. It's like the entire fourth quarter.
I don't know if you noticed last night. This I thought was brutal. As far as just like what Tibbs thinks of Kemba. At some point, Rose had to come out basically because Rose just couldn't play the whole fourth quarter. He wanted to give him some rest. Instead of bringing in Kemba, he goes, we're just going to play without a point guard because that's better than playing with Kemba on the floor.
Yeah, it's not a. We thought the Knicks finally solved their point guard situation, and it's not even close. I feel like it's marginally better than it's been, but like the Knicks need a point guard still.
Yeah, I mean, he's clearly, and maybe Kemba, we're saying this now, maybe Kemba will learn that you have to cover your guy in the 3-point line. Maybe his offense is looking better lately. Maybe we'll be talking better about Kemba very soon. But last few games in particular have just been brutal on defense.
I mean, there's a reason he got traded and then bought out.
Yeah. But the Fournier thing also, Fournier's defense is pretty mediocre also. I think it's definitely better than Kemba, but he still seems like, I think a lot of it with both those guys, like beyond getting blown, but like guys blowing by them, is just not being in the right place on defense. So much is just about being at the right place, like being. The Knicks have a strategy of packing the paint and then like trying to like jump out at guys on the 3-point line. Should they change that strategy?
Yeah, I mean they're not getting there.
No,
They could try and jump out if they want, but it's not working. They're not. The teams are hitting wide open threes.
Actually, one more question I want to ask before going to your next question, but about the offseason. Did Leon Rose make a mistake by not keeping Bullock? Like, would you prefer? Like, should we have kept Bullock over Fournier, or Bullock over Kemba? I guess.
Yeah, that might have been a mistake. I mean, Bullock does not look good in Dallas, but he looked good in New York, and he had a good role and a good fit. And sometimes players play a lot better when they fit a certain roster.
Yeah, I'm not watching Dallas. I don't really know quite. I know his stats don't look amazing, but his stats never looked amazing with the Knicks. But he gave a lot on defense, and apparently that not that he was the greatest defender, but so far this is not looking good for the defense. What's your next question, Jay?
We're actually just about out of time, so I'm going to read an email.
Okay.
nyknickspodcast@gmail.com, or hey writes, hey guys, these starters have been disappointing, but I'm just happy the Obi pick might not have been a complete fuck up.
It's pretty good. Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah. I mean, it's after the busts we've had lately, and it's nice to have a guy who we're not like this guy's absolutely a bust.
I'm
the bar's
excited
been set
about,
low.
On Facebook, Paul writes, who did LeBron trade from the Lakers that he wants to get back the most right now? Caruso, Ball, Ingram, or Schroeder?
Oh, so many. And Harrell.
Yeah, Harrell. Was Randall left before then?
Randall played with LeBron.
Oh, he did play with LeBron. Yeah.
I would say Ball.
Yeah, I was gonna say Ball would add a lot to that team right now.
I'm
Jay
just
writes,
thinking about their biggest weakness is probably point guard.
why did it take Tibbs over 10 games to stagger substitutions? I love Tibbs and I don't want to diss him, but why does he substitute like the team is a hockey team? We don't have line changes. We have substitute based on matchup and whoever is having a nice night. An actual question. Anything were to happen to Kemba or Rose, who do you think would be the next point guard up to take these duties? Burks or Quick seem likely to choices, but maybe McBride has a dark horse chance of getting time that way.
I mean, IQ and Burks would get more minutes, but I think you would get probably a Grimes sighting. It seems like Grimes is first man instead of McBride.
Yeah, I mean, Grimes is not a point guard and McBride is, but I could see them playing Quick at point guard and giving Burks some point guard minutes. In theory, I like Grimes has been played a little bit. I thought he's looked pretty solid on defense for the limited time. Mm-hmm. And McBride in the summer league looked pretty solid on defense. The team will have injuries at some point this season. There's just no way injuries aren't going to happen. I think we're going to see some McBride, see some Grimes, and I think we're going to like what we see from those guys.
Yeah.
Jay, I have a quick question for you. Which is least? I made a list of least likely to most likely. I wanted you to put this together before the end of the show.
Okay.
This week? What's the least likely and most likely thing to happen? Obi hits a 3.
Mm-hmm.
Our 2 centers play the entire week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that one's last.
Kemba and Fournier play a fourth quarter.
Mm-hmm.
Our rookies combined for 20 minutes. And a random shooter on the other team has a career night from 3 against the Knicks.
Well, that one's the number 1. The centers is the bottom. Rookies is second from the bottom. I'm going to go Obi 3 as second. I feel like he's going to hit one this week.
Okay.
And there was one more, right?
Kemba and Fournier finish a game.
Yeah, we'll put that right in the middle.
I think Obi hitting a 3 might be the most promising on this whole list. The Knicks got 3 games coming up this week, and they have before our next show, and they are winnable games.
Okay.
They got tomorrow night. They got Orlando.
Mm-hmm.
Gonna beat Orlando.
Yeah.
They better freaking beat Orlando.
Have to.
And Cole. By the way, Cole Anthony's having a good season, despite the fact that he lit up against the Knicks. He's been playing pretty well, but the Knicks have to beat him.
Yep.
They got Houston on Saturday. Have to beat Houston, right? Just have to beat Houston.
If they don't, we might take a week off from this show.
And then Sunday they got Chicago, who's playing awesome. Chicago, but 2-1.
Yeah, I think Vucevic is still going to be out, which is great because he's on my fantasy team. So that might help the Knicks a lot because their centers are probably still going to be injured.
If you need fantasy help, I wish your fantasy team could always play against the Knicks. I feel like your luck would just help us.
Right now, I have 4 guys that are a game time decision for tomorrow. So that's
how's your fantasy team doing overall?
I am 18-18. Even though I've won 3 out of 4 weeks, I'm 18-18 somehow. I got stomped that 1 week I lost, and I'm in 6th place. But I haven't had a full roster like all season.
Okay, that's not who's playing the best for you and who's playing the worst for you.
Kevin Durant's been playing the best, and
wow, Durant, no way.
I know, shocker. And Kevin Porter Jr. has been playing the worst.
Oh, okay. I praise you on that pick. I mean, obviously Durant's a good pick, but I'm surprised Porter's been that bad.
A lot of my guys have been playing really bad. Plumlee, Isaiah Stewart, Fournier, like just all slumps. So I don't know. Only one way to go from here.
One last question before Jay. Randall has been on the Knicks for 3 years. What do you think his worst year for turnovers was?
I'm gonna say
which was worse and which was his best year of the 3?
His first year was the worst, and last year was the best.
Okay, last year was the worst. His first year was the best.
Wow.
His first year he averaged 3. Last year he averaged 3.4 turnovers. This year he's at 3.3. I just found that interesting. I forgot I wanted to bring that up before.
It seemed so much better last season. It really did.
It's just interesting because like the year before he was a much better player last year than he was the year before. But the turnover numbers actually like.
Yeah, that first year was when we were complaining about that spin move.
Can he spend an entire offseason just working on his dribbling skills?
Yeah.
I feel like that would make if his handle could just tighten up a little bit, it would make an easier time for me to watch a Knicks game.
Well, it's also his decision-making skills because he's got to know who he can go around or when he's getting double teamed to pass it out quicker. So he's getting himself into positions that cause more turnovers.
Right. He has just an overconfident. I like his overconfidence in every other part of his game, but his overconfidence in his dribbling skills, where sometimes he'll just like drive, where you're like, dude, you're gonna get the ball stripped or stolen because you're not an amazing dribbler.
And one last question, Jonathan writes, so apparently Mitchell Robinson will continue to get hurt every game. So what's your take? I don't think the Knicks will offer him the contract he hopes. So what do you guys think is the best scenario with Mitch?
Jay, if you had just the fourth quarter, you have a game you have to win, would you rather play Mitch and they're both going to be healthy. Would you rather have Mitch or Taj?
Taj.
Yeah, I think Taj gives you more. I mean, just the way Mitch is playing right now, Taj has been great. I think Noel's better of all of them. And what do you do? I don't know if you have a great choice. I feel like if Mitch continues to be injured throughout the season, maybe you get him on a decent deal for next season. If he ends up like have a second half of the year where he's great, then maybe you're screwed and you have to sign it. Or maybe just let him go and just be like, does you think he has a lot of value for trade, for like as far as trading him?
I think you get something pretty good. Maybe toward the trade deadline, you see if there's somebody else in a similar situation where they might not resign, or
When you say something good, what are you going to get for Mitch? I don't think you're getting a lot for him. That may like. Do you think you're not getting a first round pick for him?
probably not.
What other team is like? I need to give you a lot for this often injured center in a league that doesn't value centers anymore.
Well, you know who's on an expiring, who I would love the Knicks to get? Mo Bamba.
Because he can shoot the three? Only against the Knicks?
He can block. He can shoot. He can shoot all right.
Yeah, but let's just say you trade for Mo Bamba. Okay, are you signing Mo Bamba to a big deal?
Maybe.
Because he seems to suck in Orlando. Or besides playing the Knicks, he sucks in Orlando. Orlando doesn't know what to do with him either.
Yeah.
I also, if you're like, should we give Mitch a 4-year, $60 million contract, or give Mo Bamba 1 year, 5? That's the market for Mo Bamba. I'll just take Mo Bamba.
Yeah, although I just looked at Mo Bamba's injury history, and never mind.
He's injured a lot. Yeah, I think Mitch is far superior to Jericho Sims, but I don't know if he's worth a huge. The problem also is Noel is just killing us. And Noel was injured his whole career, had 2 seasons of not being injured, and now we're screwed again.
I know. All right, guys, we're out of time. So thank you for listening. If you want to join us live, you can follow us on Twitch, twitch.tv/crumpledbacon. Hit that follow button. You get a notification when we go live. And all our videos are posted on YouTube later, youtube.com/TITOWAJ. And we'll see you guys next week, unless the Knicks lose to the Rockets.
Probably Monday night.
All right. Bye, everybody.
If you're still around.
Goodbye, everybody. It's all over. Goodbye. It's time to go. This is the end. Say goodbye. You better go away. I'm gonna leave you. It's the end. Goodbye. Goodbye. Just leave me alone. Feels so good to say goodbye. I'm sick and tired and I'm saying goodbye. Goodbye, girl. Goodbye, 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 everybody.
Oh, my God. I did it again.
What was that?
That was Basketball Gods intro.
Whatchamacallit? Are you